Today I'm going to show you how to make these reusable sandwich bags, and they are lined with PUL fabric, and PUL fabric is polyurethane laminate fabric, and this is commonly used to make wet-proof items like diapers, wet bags, and that type of thing, but I'm using it in this sandwich bag. And these can just be washed in the washing machine or wiped out, and you never have to buy a plastic sandwich bag again. It's good for the environment. And I'm going to show you how to put a zipper in. There are some out there with Velcro, but there's nothing more embarrassing when you're going to get your lunch out, especially for kids. If you hear that sound when you're opening up your sandwich or your chips or whatever. So, but to install the zipper is super easy. So I'm going to show you what you need for the bag. And this is a piece of cotton fabric. It's been washed, it's been dried, and I ironed it. And this is 16 inches by 8 inches. And the PUL fabric, the polyurethane laminate fabric, it's also known, or most commonly known as PUL. And I buy mine at Joann's, and I wait till I have a 50 or 60% off coupon, and I buy a whole bolt of it. So I always just get white. And a zipper. This is just a standard, plastic type zipper, plastic teeth zipper, and it's stuck at the end. It's not a separating zipper. And this is a 10-inch zipper. You want it longer than your bag because you can always trim zippers, so it's always best to get them longer than it is shorter. And you're going to start with your fabric, and you want the right sides together. And because I want the shiny side of my PUL fabric to be on the inside of the bag, because it's got like a cloth side too. So this is right sides together. And then the zipper. And you want the zipper pull side down. And I like mine to the left. And I'm going to keep the zipper closed, and I'm just going to sandwich it in between. Let me pull this down a little bit. There we go. And I'm just going to sandwich it in between. And now I'll go over to my sewing machine, and I will stitch all 3 layers together. Alright, I'm at my sewing machine, and I have my zipper sandwiched between my 2 layers of fabric. And again, right sides together. And I'm using black thread, but you would want to use a thread that matches, but I'm using black just so you can see it better. And if you want, you can pin this. I am not going to pin it. And I do have my zipper foot in on my sewing machine. And I'm not going to sew right up to the zipper because I like a little bit of room. I like a little bit of the zipper showing. And that way, for sure, no fabric will get caught in it when it's being zippered open and closed. So this is just a straight stitch. And I'm going to back stitch at the beginning, and when I reach the end, I'll back stitch also. Then I just make sure my layers are even as I go. And my zipper is closed when I'm sewing this. So there's my zipper sandwiched in between. Now, to sew the other side of the zipper, you will open up this part Okay, now to sew the other part, you flip that open, and we're going to do the sandwich again, but you bring the PUL up and put that there on the zipper. See how it's sandwiched? And then you will bring this main cotton fabric up. So you have like 2 loops. And we will do the same thing. Straight stitch the zipper in place with the zipper foot. Again, I don't go super close to the zipper. So we are starting, and then I'm going to back stitch. And I back stitch at the end again. And see how it's sewing. Now what I like to do is I like to top stitch this part down. So I have my 2 loopies here. I'm calling them loopies. The PUL and the cotton. There's my zipper. So I want to top stitch those, so I'm going to turn it kind of right side out. There, see? It's right side out now. This is my regular sewing foot. So to make it easier, I'm going to unzip it. And now I can top stitch that down. And that way for sure nothing will get caught in the zipper. I don't recommend ironing PUL because it will melt. So I'm just going to do this by look and by feel to make sure that it's pulled down far enough. Now reach under. Make sure that PUL is pulled down. And I will do the same for the other side. I will top stitch that down. And now that that's top stitched down, I want to turn this inside out again. So there I have both of my ends that are attached to the zipper. Okay, now that I've sewn the zipper in order to make this part here, you know how it folds down, I have closed my zipper again. And you can see in here, I like to go, oh, what's that, like 3/4 of an inch. And I'm just going to fold that. See how it's about 3/4? And then I want to make sure the PUL matches the same. And then down here it should be even. So there it is. And this I like to pin. But do you see how I did that? Let me do that again. I fold this down about 3/4, and then I make sure the PUL matches up. And then I am going to pin this. I just use a couple of pins. I don't go pin crazy. And then I'm going to do the same for the other side. You know, this right side. I made sure about 3/4, and then the cotton fabric is matching, and then I will pin this. Okay, and now I'm going to go to my machine and I'll show you how to sew the sides, because there's a trick to it, so we can turn it inside out and still have the lining sewn completely in the bag, and it's like an invisible lining. There's no seams showing. Okay, and I'm going to start on the zipper side that doesn't have the zipper pull, and my zipper is still closed. So I'm going to start at the top here and about 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to start sewing. Then I'm going to back stitch, and then I'm going to keep going. Back stitch, now I'm going to flip it over just to make sure I caught all of the fabric, and I did. It's all sewn. Now this is the side that you have to do something kind of special, so you can flip it inside out and still have a invisible seam. And I've back stitched. Now you have to open the zipper, otherwise the zipper pull won't be inside your bag. So I just whoops. I know this is a little bit of a pain, but I like to sew with the zipper closed, so I rather deal with it that way. Okay, now I'm going to keep sewing after I opened up the zipper. Now we have to leave an opening to turn the bag. So I'm going to stop about here. It's about 2 inches up. I'm going to back stitch. But then I am going to stitch a little bit down here at the bottom. But before I do that, I want to turn this white portion up, the PUL up, okay? Because we don't want to stitch that down yet. So I'm going to start my needle, but it's not in the PUL. I put my needle down so it's just in this cotton fabric. I'm going to take a couple stitches, and then I'm going to back stitch just a tiny bit, but I'm not hitting that PUL fabric. Then I'm going to stitch all the way to the end, and I'm going to back stitch. And now I'm going to cut my threads. But I'm going to go back to this PUL, okay? I'm going to flip my cotton up because I want to sew just about 3/4 of an inch. Just a little section here. And I'm going to back stitch, sew, back stitch. Okay. But here you can see I have sewn completely down the cotton and left a little hole for the PUL. And I like to sew a little bit down here, and then when I turn this inside out, it'll create a seam and it'll be easier to top stitch. I'll show you what I mean. Now this zipper, remember I opened it to sew, but we have to trim this off because we don't need this all the zipper. So I'm going to trim that off. And then this side. Now we got to turn this. And I just kind of reach in there, poke a corner through, and then I just keep going. And then I'm going to open up the zipper, and then I turn it inside out again. You got to kind of play with it a little bit to get it the way you want it. And then to get these corners all nice and turned, I use a little chopstick. And I have my chopstick in that hole. And then I'm going to go to these corners and make sure that they're poofed out. But see, you have to kind of put that chopstick in there to get these corners. And then you want to make sure all the corners are nice and crisp before you sew the lining shut. And then once you get that, the corners where you like it, you turn the bag kind of inside out. But see, and this is why I did a little bit of sewing at the end here, was so there. Now you can sew this shut, and that was super easy. You didn't have to fiddle with it too much. There's no trimming, there's no, and you can feel where that cotton is. So now I'm going to go to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch from here to here. Okay, now I can stitch that opening closed, and like I've said before, the thread, you know, try to use the, you know, white thread or whatever color PUL you have, but just for this purposes I'm using a dark thread so you can see it. Back stitch. You can even hand sew this together, but I prefer the machine. Then I just turn it over, and I want to make sure that I got both sides, and I did. So there it is stitched, and I'm just going to turn that so it's to the inside. And there we go. Gotta get the air out. But this is the way I like to make reusable lunch bags, and I do put these in my daughter and son's lunch. And they're older now, they're 12 and 9, so they know not to throw them away. But for little kids, you might have to remind them not to throw them away, or wait until they're older to use the reusable. So this is a great sandwich size. You can put a pretty thick sandwich in there, and chips and whatever. And this is nice, shiny and slick, so it can be washed off. And look how cute that is. And like I said, you know, there's no Velcro, so you don't, the kids don't have to be embarrassed, you know, You don't hear that because that echoes in the lunchroom. But it's a nice zipper. And you could even use these for your work lunch. I mean, and these have these you can even store wet things in here, like wet wipes or a wet washcloth. There's 100 ways you could use this bag. Eco-friendly, environment-friendly. But I hope you enjoyed this sewing tutorial. And I've made it easy for you to subscribe to my channel. You can just click my little profile picture or my icon right here. And I will have some other interesting videos for you to the left. Thanks for watching. Bye.